Today, we're making stick blade protectors. This is version 3.0. And I'll tell you what, these guys are rugged, tough, and ready for blacktop, concrete, virtually any surface you want to use your stick on. And I'll show you how to make these for around 75 cents a piece. Interested? Here we go. These two here are made with 3/4 inch PEX pipe or shark bite pipe, which is what I get around here. You're using 3/4 inch, not the 1/2 inch. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. First of all, here is the difference between the 1/2 inch in thickness and the 3/4 inch. You might have seen an earlier version that I had here that I made out of this electrical conduit. And it works good for maybe junior players or younger players. But I was getting some feedback, and rightly so, from people who were really slamming on this stuff, and it didn't work for them. So this is 1.0. Always taking on a good challenge, I came up with 2.0. And here you can see the wear and tear that we've had on this. And I'll tell you what, we really have put it through the paces. I have challenged my kids to go out there and wail on these sticks. In concrete, blacktop. Now this is the 1/2 inch pipe, just split down the middle. And this is a piece of 3/4 inch pipe. And you can see that we just kind of roughly taped it there. We could have done a little better job, but the whole idea was to test out and prototype if this plastic was tough enough. I don't know what they use for those skate guards, but I can't imagine it's any tougher than this. So this is version 2.0. I didn't like how that was taped on there, and I wanted some sort of wraparound capability. So that's how I came up with these. Let me slide this around here like this. Now, these guys wrap around. There's different designs. This is a slightly longer stick than this one, and a slightly thicker stick than this one. But this will give you an idea of what you can do. For this build, you'll need your hockey stick, some paint stirrers, small and large, depends on the profile of your stick. So you want to have an edge that's comparable to the profile. In this case, a thicker paint stirrer works, but if these, you could do a combination here if you had to. Whatever it is. This is kind of a thin standard profile for nowadays. A straight edge, a marker, a tape measure, a real tape measure works best, a box cutter, a hacksaw, and a couple clamps. A drill helps to make the holes. So let's get started. The whole point of this build is to minimize the amount of tools so that you can make something inexpensively and rather quickly. So the first thing you're going to do is take your blade of your stick and you get a tape measure and you measure around. I'm going to do it in inches, but it certainly could be done in centimeters. And you start about there, and then you just wrap it around. And the reason why I use tape measures is because it's a lot more flexible. So you figure out how far you need to go. In this case, I'm going to go to 14, and that will give me plenty of opportunity to wrap this stick around here and bring it here. So that's what I've done, and I've cut out the piece of PEX pipe to be exactly what I need here. So you can put the stick to the side. Now let's talk about the PEX pipe. You'll notice that it has shark bite across here, and you can take advantage of that and lay a straight edge. This is just a piece of aluminum. If you wanted to, you could clamp it on both ends. And you can see these little marks here. You can just line it up and it works perfectly. And then you just give a little bit of offset for the marker. Then take the marker and go across like this. And then you'll end up with something like that. Now, I've tried using a Dremel tool to make this cut, hacksaw. It all works, but there's a lot of dust. So let me show you a secret with you. I'm going to bring it up here a little bit so that you can see. So what I found was easiest is I take these two clamps, get it right on the edge, clamp it down, and that holds the pipe nice and firm. And then ever so carefully just start cutting the line a little bit at a time. And you want to make sure that you're careful, especially on the first couple passes, because that defines the line you're going to go on. And eventually you'll just cut right through to the center of the pipe. And you'll get that groove. Notice that the pipe's blocking in the way, so all you do is shift it over here, go to the groove where you had it before, and just carefully run it all the way through. Carefully. These things are dangerous, especially when they're really sharp, and that's what you need. And then you do the same thing on this end. Clamp it down and cut it through. So that when you heat it up, that will allow you to put in the shim. Let's head outside, set this up, and start warming up the plastic and sandwiching it. Here's the setup. I have the heat gun, and I have it sitting on some bricks. I got some leather gloves so that I can hold the pipe, and a mask. Some people probably wouldn't even use this, but I'm using it as an extra precaution. Safety glasses and a screwdriver to help with expanding the slot. The paint stirrer all the way in there, it's flat to the bottom of the pipe. And that's great, because now I'm going to go on this side and heat this up so that I can sandwich it in between the other two paint stirrers. You can use the other shark bite line on the other side of the pipe to make sure you're keeping the pipe straight as you're softening it up, because sometimes it'll have a tendency to shift. Okay, you can see that I've got some C-clamps here. They're pretty cheap. I'll post below where you can get some. These are Harbor Freight clamps, and you can get these for $1 or $2. So now I'm going to heat it up a little bit at a time and just move this section all the way down until I have it all flat. All right, everything's cooled down. You can see I used 6 clamps. And splitting the paint stirrers really did make a difference as far as trying to control the melting and smashing. Or forming, whatever you want to call it. And I don't like these bar clamps too much because they're wood and they don't have a tendency to grip like these guys. I mean, these are great grip. And I like this ratcheting thing. So price for price, get these guys over these guys. Take it off. See what we got. Okay. So this one you can see was a little bit of a curve, but it kind of straightened itself out towards the end. This is, I guess, a little bit of a curve, and it stayed the whole way. And I'm going to come in centimeter, make these points, which I'm going to drill. Now the great thing is if you messed it up, they just rub out pretty easy. Originally I had them spaced about 2 inches, and if you look here, like I went to 1 inch on this end for the curve of the up part of the stick, and obviously I went to 1 inch on this end. I want to drill all the way through and have the same position on the other side. So I'm using some paint stirrers kind of to protect my cutting surface. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'll just finish all these and get back to you. So the original pilot hole was a 3/32, and I'm just bumping it up to 5/32 to make this hole a little bit bigger. Again, just to keep it from splitting. I might even actually increase it a little bit more, because these are more like a 1/4 inch. I think I'm going to go to 3/16. Again, that's to try to prevent it from splitting, kind of like what we had here, because those were just kind of rough carved in. Is the way to go. I think that's just the perfect size I want. So slightly smaller than the ones I had here. Using a fine tip marker in one of the paint stirrers, I just went through and made some wedges that I'm going to cut with a hacksaw or a coping saw. Here is the metric measurements for both the holes and the wedges. So you can pause the video. So you can see 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. And slightly more than 1 inch. I think that's 2 inches. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, and then another 1 inch over here. Okay, so we'll try coping saw first. You can see it's just in a vise. I'm going to come up here, follow the line, and cut it through. Coping saw, very easy, worked great. You can see that I came in and I want to be flush with the circle. And you can see that the permanent marker, even though it's permanent marker, will rub right off, so don't worry about how it looks. Now let's go in with the hacksaw and figure out which one's best. I would say a slightly smoother, but not by much, cut with the hacksaw over the coping saw. Coping saw is maybe a little faster, so I think it's pretty much a toss-up. If you have a hacksaw, use a hacksaw. If you have a coping saw, use a coping saw. Post below which one you think works best in the comments. So now we'll just finish all these grooves and get ready to form it on the stick. So here we are, all cut out. This is the front up here. If you need to make any trimming, just take the sharp box cutter, be very careful, and just shave it down like that. That's the easiest way to do it. I went to put this on the stick and I looked at the profile and I might have been a little too aggressive in trying to smash that down compared to this one, which is a little more open and it's easier to put on the stick. So when I went in here and cleaned this up or cut it up a little bit, I noticed that it fits much better now. It's gonna fit the profile of the stick perfectly. All I had to do is cut the top off where this offset was. And this time I'm using a coping saw because it allows you to get into the grooves better than the hacksaw does. So I'm just cutting that flush down through here. And I think that's going to do it for me. That's going to give me the gap I'm looking for, more like this one. So it's easier to slide on and off the stick. And then if for some reason it's a problem, I can always tape both ends just to keep it in place. Pushing on it a little bit and it just kind of forms. It's actually kind of neat. So you can customize it for your stick. You can go either direction, this way or this way. So take a screwdriver and just put it in there like this, and once you've put it on a couple times, it will adjust to your stick. Be a custom fit. You notice that all the lettering is off of there and it's off of here. And all you need to do is take some nail polish remover, which is actually acetone, except for acetone doesn't look purple. Give it a little rub and it'll come right off. So now these are ready for more playing outside on blacktop, concrete, any surface you can think of. And they'll protect the blade of the stick. Thumbs up and comments, always appreciated. If you're into sports builds, home repairs, designs of all kinds, even some cosplay, costume making, and prop making, check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know what you're gonna see.